Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your host Edward McQueen and April Garner Davis.
All right. We are live. I'm just laughing because of the things we had to do to prepare for this. Good evening, April. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing this evening?
Good. Oh, fantastic.
Good.
Yeah. Look, that's. What do you think? Let me get your opinion on what the. I know you're not in Horry County, but we've had an issue with our roads in Horry County for a while, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One recent construction that just took place was very beneficial to a lot of people, and it's a perimeter road run parallel with Highway 501, and it really relieved a lot of the greater volume of the traffic anyway off of it. And tonight, I'd like to kind of like add that into the conversation and see what else is going to be coming of that, how far they are going. If our guest can I'm sure she can talk about it. So it's your show. I mean,
well, you just threw our guest a curveball because she's not here to talk about the perimeter road. She's here to talk about Ride 4. Right. But I know she can point us to some resources to, possibly get an update on what's going on with Ride 3 projects and things like that. So
the Ride 4 sign on that perimeter road. That's why. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure then she can give us a lot of information about that. And you're right. There's the last time I was home, there was, I was looking around and I was like, wow, so much is the same, but then there's a lot that's changed.
Right.
And, one thing's for sure is that when it comes down to our roads, I don't know anyone who's lived in Horry County or anywhere else who can say that, wow, our roads are perfect. We don't have any problems with roads. Right. As long as there are cars and trucks and everything else utilizing roads, there's always going to be a road problem, a road issue, something large or small that needs to be fixed.
Right.
And so tonight we're talking about a special ballot referendum that voters will be able to decide on in this November election, and it concerns the Ride 4 initiatives. And we have someone here who is going to talk about what the Ride 4 project or initiative is all about. Put in a great nutshell what it means to vote to fix Horry County roads. Yeah. And, so I think we're going to get a great lesson in what this project and these types of projects are all about, the implications behind voting for or not voting for a project like this. And then also, we're always encouraging our viewers to drop in comments or questions about the topic of the evening. And even if there's something that you want to lean into that you think our guests may be able to answer, or, may be able to at least guide us in the direction of finding an answer, please feel free to do that. But we would like to welcome tonight Jada Hudson, who is the public policy coordinator for the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. And she's originally from Belton, South Carolina. She's a graduate of the University of South Carolina Honors College, as a matter of fact. And she focused on political science. So, all of this is definitely in Jada's wheelhouse. And I think that it's wonderful that, someone like Jada, who appears to be, ready to take on a lot of the issues that are, politically inclined, that, she's here tonight to talk about, what is happening in terms of implementing the chamber's legislative priorities at the local, state, and the federal levels of government when it comes down to projects like Ride 4. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring on Jada Hudson. How are you, Miss Jada?
I'm doing good. Thank you all for having me today.
All right. And it's a pleasure to have you here this evening, my fellow Gamecock. Just so excited that you are on the political scene. And when did you graduate from USC?
Just in May. So I've been in this area for about 4 months and I've really enjoyed it.
All right, awesome. Well, I think it's wonderful that you have, started your career doing something as grand as working for the Myrtle Beach Chamber of Commerce and, working in the political arena. We need more young people like yourself who, have their fingers on the pulse of political issues and initiatives because you are our future leaders. You're the people who are going to be running our country, our local area, municipalities and state governments and things like that. So, kudos to you, as Brother Edward would say, for being in the political arena and your willingness to be here tonight to share with us this information about the Ride For project. So I know that I gave you a little bit of an introduction, but if there's anything else you'd like to share with the audience, please do.
Yeah, I would just like to say I'm excited to be here. I'm not a native to this area, but I do have family in Georgetown, so I definitely feel a connection with the Low Country. So I'm excited to be here and working. And I think you're exactly right. Young people do need to go to the ballot, and they do need to get involved. So I'm excited to share some more information tonight.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So first of all, let's start by, just kind of educating the public on what a referendum is, first of all. And, it's going to appear on the ballot this November, along with a lot of other critical, projects and people that we need to vote on. But, one of the things that we really want to make sure that people understand as we talk about this ballot referendum is, what a referendum is. And then also our focus here tonight is to really educate our audience on what it means to, vote on initiatives like this and how they can impact our community. So want to just educate everybody so that when you go to the polls and it's time for you to vote, you will be fully informed, or at least informed enough to make your own decision about how you'd like to vote. And so what better way to do that than to have the public policy coordinator here to talk about it. So do you want to share your own definition of what a referendum is? I have the Webster's version, but you can definitely share yours.
Just in general terms, I think it's really a way to give power back to the people so they can decide what to do with it. So there could be a state referendum, there could be a local referendum. The one we're talking about tonight is a local referendum. So basically it's a different initiative and you, the voter, get to decide whether or not the county is going to pursue it. So I think the referendum that we're voting on this time is very important. And it's a way for you to actually actively use your voice in government and make sure the things you want to happen are happening.
Mm-hmm. So, as Brother Edward said in our pre-show, he's like, I see the signs on the road, ride this and ride that, right? And, the entire RIDE program has had several phases. And, there's information that you can get on the web about all of the phases of these RIDE projects. And I think if I had to say there was one that was more highly publicized and definitely talked about in the community, it was the RIDE 3 project, year or two ago. But this newest RIDE 4 initiative is something that we want to focus on tonight because of its ability to, or it's within its context, it's pretty much creating the ability to fix Horry County roads. And so, Jada, why don't you start by just kind of framing up who the authors of this particular ballot referendum are, and then, kind of go into what the referendum is all about.
Right. So the RIDE program is completely run by Horry County. So they have someone specifically dedicated to the program. They help run it. They make sure the projects are managed correctly. So it's basically a program to help improve the roads in our area. So it's not necessarily a new thing for our area. We've been paying this tax for a long time, since the 90s. And it's really important that as we continue to pay it, that we are adding on new projects. So RIDE 4 specifically will deal with a lot of different projects all around the county. And these are some bigger projects, some smaller projects. And the majority of the money being spent on RIDE 4 is to improve the roads that Horry County citizens are already riding on. It's resurfacing projects, it's paving dirt roads, widening a lot of roads where we're seeing a lot of congestion, like in River Oaks, Highway 90, East Cox Ferry Road. So making sure we're improving the roads that everyday citizens are already using to help improve traffic and improve improve commute times.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This referendum, of course, was proposed and then went through readings and then pretty much, I guess, passed by, and you said Horry County, it would be Horry County Council. And so now what is the next stage of this initiative?
Right. So now it's in the hands of the voters. So you're exactly right. This was not just an overnight thing. It took months of planning on the county's behalf. They took public comment, public hearings on what actually needed to be improved. They've done studies. And so now, after all of that legwork by Horry County, it's time for the voters to actually be able to vote whether or not to continue this program.
Mm-hmm. So how will this referendum appear on the ballot? I was thinking, it'd been great to have a sample ballot, but and we were talking about the fact that a lot of times when people go to the polls to vote, they already are thinking candidates, but sometimes they're not really thinking about, I have to stand here for a minute or two, not only read a referendum or some type of an amendment, but I need to process it and try to figure out exactly what it's saying outside of the political language that's being used. So how will it appear? And, what should people think about even before they get to the polls?
Right. This is definitely one I recommend looking at before you go to the polls. It is a very lengthy ballot. When you print it out, it's over 2 pages. But that's because it's really trying to be transparent. It lists off every single project that will be done within the Ride For program. But by doing so, it's a very long ballot referendum and ballot initiative. It's the last question on your ballot. It's going to be a lot of text. You can read it during the ballot, or during election day, or when you're voting. But I would recommend going to fixhorryroads.com, and you can see a whole list of projects, and you can actually look them up, see a map of where they'll be, just to give you some more context of what actually will be improved when you go in to vote that day.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what's inside of the actual referendum? And I know that the RIDE program basically is based on a penny sales tax. So tell us a little bit more about how that penny sales tax works throughout these RIDE programs.
Right. So it's a penny off of every dollar, but it's not on necessarily every purchase. A lot of this is aimed to get tourists to pay for it, because we are such a tourist destination, and a lot of the strain on the roads is from tourists coming in and out of town. So by doing so, it's a lot of prepackaged foods, hotel nights, hotel stays, so things targeting that tourists would actually pay for it. So local residents don't pay as much of the tax. So when you go to the grocery store, you're probably not spending much on this tax. So it helps generate funding to actually build these projects and roads. So that's why it's called a penny sales tax.
Mm-hmm. And I think you and I, in our pre-show discussions, talked about what the probability is in terms of how much revenue can be generated from this penny sales tax. So if you have, figures or anything to share with us tonight about how much money could be generated to fix roads through this referendum.
So the referendum would last over 25 years, and that might seem like a long time, but when you're actually building projects and adding on projects, that time will go by in a blink of an eye. And so over those 25 years, it can raise $6 billion, which would all go to improving our roads here in Horry County. And 66% of that is going to be paid for by tourists.
Wow, Brother Edward, $6 billion with billion.
Yeah. So when will, other than after the referendum has gone through the process, either passing or not, will the taxpayers get the opportunity to get involved again with it? When you're, in other words, being at the table again for any more decisions to be made?
Right. Especially with some of the larger projects, I would imagine that the county would continue to do these public hearings and hear public comment, just so they aren't making decisions without the input of voters. But definitely having these public input sessions, I think the county definitely will do that.
That's good. Yeah. Well, I can appreciate the transparency that you just expressed so far. I'd like to take a look at that. See the name of it'll have the name of the roads that are going to be fixed and all that good stuff on the referendum.
Yes.
sheet. That's good. And also a map to further clarify where it is, right? A map of each.
So the actual ballot won't have a map on it, but they're on our website. You can see that map there of where every project will be listed.
Great.
Yeah. So I'm actually on the fixoryrose.com. I'm on the Fix Horry Rose website, and it's it's pretty comprehensive as far as information about roads go, I guess, and what these the tax and the referendum or referendums, I should say, because I'm sure there's been multiple referendums or ballot issues since the RIDE program began. But you can actually take a look at the history of the RIDE program, and it, Brother Edward, it goes all the way back to 1996,
right,
with the very first RIDE program and all of the roads or highways that resulted from that. And then there's RIDE 2, which was 2007 to 2014. And again, a list of roads and exchanges and overpasses that resulted from that. RIDE 3 from 2017 to actually, might as well say the present, 2025.
Yeah.
With the Carolina Bays Parkway, widening projects, new boulevards, the Conway Perimeter Road Phase 2, widening in Loris and other places. And so now we're at the RIDE 4 stage, and that RIDE 4 is, of course, everything that Jada is talking about tonight. And so, this map here, I think it has a bit of a legend to it, and I'm going to attempt to just kind of make this a little bit smaller. So we can see, of course, this is Horry County. This is what Horry County looks like if you've never really seen a snapshot of Horry County. And then this map actually kind of is coded by the various roads that are impacted in the projects. So let's see, if we're looking at this line right here, of course, this is the coastline. I imagine this is the Atlantic Ocean. And then we're coming into, let's say, for instance, B. B is South Carolina Highway 90 widening from East Cox Ferry Road to Little River. And it gives a project description, but also an estimated cost through 2035 in order to widen that road. So that widening project. Brother Edward, it's pretty interesting information here as far as the different projects. And it looks like
for some reason I'm not capturing the exactly what you explained. Yeah. I'm stuck at the top. I don't know about Jada.
Yeah, I'm still on the Fix Horry Roads website.
Oh, really? Hold on. Let me do this.
Program.
I'm going to go back into this and maybe share my newest screen. And then that way you'll probably be able to see it. Let's go here. So do you see it now?
There we go. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So to your point, Brother Edward, here are all of the projects, I guess, that are kind of proposed under RIDE 4. So Jada, if there's any of these that you want to just kind of talk about or whatever, or if you want to, bring attention to, here's a line item, completion of underfunded RIDE 3 projects. What exactly is that all about?
So some of the projects that will be on RIDE 4 will be continued from RIDE 3. But the main one from that is SC 31, which will be extended all the way until North Carolina. That's the main project that will be funded by that. And the reason why RIDE 4 is so long is so we can encapsulate everything that we're trying to fix, rather than the shorter 7-year periods where we're kind of having to trail off one after another and continue it on and on. Now we're trying to capture everything all at once.
Okay. So that the random project that I chose from the map was ID'd on the map as B, and it was that South Carolina Highway 90 widening project from East Coast Ferry Road to Little River. The project description, just as an example, widened to 4 lanes with turn lanes at intersections, East Cox Ferry Road to US Highway 17. That is a $745 million project, Brother Edward.
Right. If I'm visualizing this correct, that's the East Cox Ferry Road. Is that the starts at the intersection of 501 and East Cox Ferry in Conway, and then goes through a kind of like a rural neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was in that area the other day, and it's actually one of the most dangerous roads in our area because it's that only 2-lane highway. So increasing it would really help with response times, whether that's EMS to help get there through the county a little bit faster.
Right.
I see here, Brother Edward, there is a reference to the Robert Edge Parkway Sandridge Road connector, which this was a critical part of Ride 3, I believe, in that perimeter road project. Am I right, Brother Edward?
Well, there's another Sand Ridge Road that I just found out about, and that's that's coming east of 501. Now, could be talking about that one, okay? But I assume, I think it's a good bet to say that when it says Sand Ridge Road connector, it should be the one that was had a little difficulty in coming to a resolution on, and which is the perimeter road around the Sand Ridge community.
So maybe this is the different one because of the fact that it is Robert Edge Parkway.
Yeah, Robert Edge. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be a little different, but there's a complete list here of roads that are a part of this Ride 4 project. And, it's really interesting because just as we were kind of looking through to see which areas it will be impacted, this is a pretty expansive area in terms of Horry County. It's kind of all in through Horry County, if you think about it, from Highway 22 to, 17, 31, 90, Cultural Road is mentioned here.
I'll also add, it's not just roads. There's also money in here for mass transit and public transportation.
Really?
So not just aimed towards voters who have cards and can have access to cars, but also those individuals who are using our public transportation.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Go into that a little bit more, like right here. Yeah, mass transit. So what exactly does that mean, Jada, as far as the money that's allocated towards this?
Right. So money is being allocated for that for the county. And a lot of that is also going towards our senior citizen population here in Horry County. We've seen that a lot of senior citizens are struggling to get to and from doctor's appointments or care that they need. So a lot of that public transportation is going to be to help them get back and forth between those doctor's care visits and making sure that they're receiving the care that they need. And it also will include money for upgrading buses and improving local public transportation here in the area.
So, Brother Edward, that particular line item is earmarked at $299 million. And I can imagine how that is a critical piece of this, considering the fact that so many senior citizens and elders need some type of on-demand ride share or, transportation to doctor's appointments and, other, important health and well-being type of appointments. And if they don't have a support system in terms of family or friends or neighbors that can help them, they definitely need to be able to rely on mass transit in order to get them where they need to go, so that is that's a critical line there.
Yeah, I'm visualizing when saying mass transit that you're probably going to incorporate Coast RTA with that. And then they will probably be the operators and per se.
Yes.
I'm just saying, it just seemed to be the logical way to go, but I guess the money is for them to increase not just the number of equipment, but increase the times of operation. I think that's going to be critical. Coming up. Yeah. So
that availability.
And with that, they're really trying to target the locals that live here. So this isn't public transportation necessarily for tourists coming into town, but really focusing on the people that are here every day.
Wow. Paved 200 miles of dirt roads. I'm sure that's Or do you think that those dirt roads are more in rural areas, or are there some like inner city roads that have not been paved yet, or is it a combination?
I would assume they're more inner city or more rural roads, sorry,
Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm,
need to be paved. And even
mm-hmm.
with that, again, into that transparency piece, all of those dirt roads will be listed in your ballot
Mm,
and can be found in the ballot language.
mm. Okay, well, that's awesome. So
Wow.
yeah,
So,
there's, I mean,
I
go ahead,
guess,
brother.
yeah. So now getting the information to certain segments of the community that does not, or segments that don't have access to computers, where they can go and find out exactly what they're agreeing to with their penny sales tax and whatever. Um, has that been considered? How are they going to address that?
Yeah, I personally have been going to a lot of different organizations. I spoke with the NAACP last night and trying to spread the word, whether that's in person or making sure that we actually like mail things to people, calling people so they actually know what they're voting on.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I assume that's probably going to entail just giving them some handouts for them to read. Say, look, this is it.
Yes.
Or doing a mailing or something.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
That's what I
Mhm.
mean. Yeah. By mail. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know, a lot of I like to call them OGs. They still love to get a piece of mail in the mailbox. Right?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And read. You know, a lot of people still love reading newsprint. You know, newspaper.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is powerful information because once again, you know, if this information were spelled out, you know, I'm sure it's not quite like we just saw on the web, but if it were listed like that on a ballot, there's no way anybody could process it, you know,
Right.
that quickly, you know, with only a few hours to vote in the run of a day. So, you know, it's great that you're here to talk about it. And so let's talk about the implications, right? So if people show up and they vote for it and they vote in favor, when would it go into effect? And do you know if there are any projects that, you know, are like higher priority and which projects they would actually start with?
Right. So the actual tax collection would start in April. So Ride 3, the tax collection for that ends in March of 2025. So that collection would start in April. And it really depends on how fast they collect the money for when they can actually start these projects. But as earliest would be April, and we're looking at 2025 to starting these. Some of the projects that they're interested in starting earlier is that Highway 90, widening that road, East Cox Ferry Road, widening that as well, and some improvements along the US 17 bypass. So those are some more immediate projects.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just inject this. I think, and this is for the audience that I believe that this is a policy. What you just, if I may go back a little bit about who's going to share the cost. First, you said 66% would be by government, right? And then the other 33%, 34%, whatever. It's going to be for the citizens, right?
So 66% is by tourists.
Okay, yeah.
So when they come into town, they pay 66%.
Well, I think it's crucial that people know that, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, these developers who are building along, for example, Highway 90, they have to contribute certain portions of a road, I believe, from where their lines of property lines begin and end, and contribute certain portion of access roads, for example, to Highway 90. Is that correct? Am I correct on that? They have to contribute themselves, right? Certain portions.
So I'm not entirely an expert on that, but I do know that there are a lot of private roads in the area, and a lot of these developers are having to bring these roads up to standard before they can be incorporated by the county. So the developers do have a responsibility to work on necessarily private roads before they can be adopted by the county.
Okay. I'll stop right there with that one. Okay, yeah, and that's good to hear. Again, I really appreciate the transparency of what you put up and on the referendum. I think it's going to tell a lot. It's going to make people go back and regroup, if not group first of all, to and have the citizen group to show each other, for example, in layman terms, how the streets, if it's going to be next to their street, or if their street is going to be improved or widened, because some people have issues widening their street, because you're disturbing some of the things that they're so used to having. It's more convenient to them, so things like that. So that's, again, I really appreciate the transparency of this referendum that was put forth.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that everybody gets a copy of it. Everybody, as much as possible, gets a copy of it, and go back and have a forum with a little community group or something, and let the people know what the benefits are or the disbenefits are.
Yeah, and so we talked about the upside of voting for this and what it would mean to have that kind of revenue flow into the community. And as Jada said on more than one occasion during this broadcast, if 66% of the $6 billion that's needed is being paid by tourists, that means that they are basically the tourists are going to handle about almost $4 billion of that. And so here's the flip side of it. If constituents vote no, what happens with these road projects? And is it revisited, or is it just, put to rest? How would these road problems be fixed without this type of revenue, if at all?
Right. So immediately the projects would be put on hold. It would stop. They wouldn't necessarily go into effect, but eventually the counties will have to look at ways to improve the roads around this area. I think it's critically important that they just can't go on and on forever. They do have to be improved. They have to be repaved. Congestion has to be helped and fixed. So then we're looking at a property tax increase. Just to get funding and get revenue to actually pay for these roads. That's the only way I can think of the county would actually do it. So we can actually improve these roads. And with a property tax increase, that means it's entirely paid for by the locals here, and we aren't getting that additional revenue from it.
Well, when you put those two options on there like that, they might go for the referendum.
Yeah. I mean, we have millions of, and not to slight any of our visitors, and we're not trying to use you, but we since you enjoy our area, our county, we do want you to help us take care of it, right?
Yes.
But the fact that there are millions of visitors coming through here every single year, and this is a way to ensure that everybody is a part of the resources, contributing their fair share, I'll say, in terms of the resources to make sure our roads are in good condition as we welcome visitors and we keep our residents safe and give them access to things that they need. It sounds like, this referendum is something that needs a yes vote. I think Jada has done a good job of explaining what happens if there is a no vote. And now that you all are more educated on what this particular RIDE initiative is all about, you make the call. When you go to the ballot in November, and even if you do nothing but refer back to this broadcast, you have at least a 35,000 foot overview of what this referendum is all about.
Absolutely.
And what you need to know. And if you need to dig in a little deeper, I'm sure that there's lots more that's embedded in this that might take some time to read and unpack. But for the most part, again, our focus tonight was to make sure that we were giving our viewers a chance to ask questions or to comment on this particular RIDE initiative, and to just get that education from Jada, who is the public policy coordinator with the Myrtle Beach Chamber. So this is one part that, of course, she was attempting to explain to me as well, which is the connection of the chamber to this particular program. And so, Jada, if you could kind of explain like how the chamber is involved in this and the responsibility, that I think that would be great too, to kind of clear the air and create some understanding of who's actually like the steward of this whole thing.
Right. So to start off, the county can't sway voters one way or another, whether or not to vote for something, because that's just not their job. Their job is to set up the referendum and allow voters to vote for it. But the chamber does see that it's important and actually advocates for it. But the chamber is not necessarily putting out all these signs and doing all of this. It's a separate organization called fixhorryroads.com or Fix Horry Roads. And so by doing so, it's not necessarily something that's funded by public money. No public money is being used for this. Your taxpayer dollars are not being used for this. So it's a way to fund this campaign and get the message out there on something that's very important without doing anything shady. Nothing illegal is happening. Nothing unscrupulous is happening with this. It's making sure that people know what they're voting for and being educated on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Brother Edward, I think that we've, received some really good information here tonight. And, what's your take on it as you think about what Jada shared with us?
Well, first of all, I'm just glad that she was here to really share this, and I think it's very timely, of course. And again, I'll allude back to the transparency that's available. And I'm just, I'll reiterate and just say again that I just hope that we get the information out to people in some kind of way, let them see what is going to be happening with the new road, or fixed Horry County roads, and I'm looking forward to going back on the website myself and just and try and find out or visualize how it's going to be looking, and see how many. Let me ask this question: there aren't any bridges, without going back, there weren't any bridges involved, were there?
That's a good observation.
There are. The Barefoot Landing Swing Bridge is looking to be replaced with this.
Replaced with a static bridge, or still a swing bridge?
I'm not sure. It doesn't really say on there, but they are looking to replace it.
Looking to replace it. Oh, okay.
And then there's also a bridge that they're planning to cross over the Waccamaw River from Conway
501
to the other side. Yes. Trying to get a little traffic off of 501.
Oh,
really?
Hey, can you go back to that, April?
Do I need to bring that back again? Wow.
So we're talking about, did you say, would that be an additional bridge or just a widening of the existing bridge?
It would be an additional bridge.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't see that. I would have noticed that.
Now that's not through Conway. That's going back to the grid. The only one that I see, let me see. She may find it before I do, but I see the Barefoot Landing Swing Bridge.
Yeah. They'll get us all excited here, Jada. About
I know.
The bridge.
I want to make sure I'm hearing what I'm hearing.
Get us all excited now.
That bridge is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look, we'll take a side bridge if you.
So it's the.
Look at one lane bridge.
It's O on the map.
On the map. Okay.
Oh, it's New Conway River Crossing, new highway across the Waccamaw River.
That's what it says, Brad.
Huh?
It says New Conway River Crossing. Construct new highway across Waccamaw River near Conway. Final location to be determined by study. And $860 million is earmarked for that.
That's a bridge. That would be a bridge.
Yeah.
And that costs. If it's entitled just for the bridge, yeah. Yeah. Wow, there must be some kind of conceptual graphics somewhere laying around that we can take a peek at.
So Jada, this Fix Horry Roads website, this is the best way to keep up with the status of the projects and any other information?
So it's the best way to keep up with the actual campaign leading up to the election.
Okay.
But the county will publish every so often how the projects are doing, if it were to pass.
Okay, all right. We do have a comment and question from Marjorie McIver. Thank you for joining us tonight. There seems to be quite a few to be determined, yet monies are allocated. I understand the need to provide for growth, but at this stage, why have decisions not been made? And then she also asked what constitutes Fix Horry Roads.
Right. So for that first question, I think it's really important to think about how the money is collected. So if the work is being done on the front end and it's not funded, well, now we've done all of this work and it's not necessarily set in stone of what we're going to do with it. There are projects and areas where they've looked at how much traffic there is, congestion in the area, and how do we actually fix that. So the reason that some final decisions haven't been made is so they can go back and hear public comment and look at studies to make sure, is this the right place to put a road? Is this where we're going to put a road? All the projects listed are going to happen if this were to pass, but exactly where they'll travel through and where they'll go through is up to the county and voters to work together on where it should go. Making sure we're not spending all of this money and it's not a road that's used or a useless road is really important because it's your money at the end of the day. And the county, I think, is trying to be very cognizant of how they spend that money and making sure that it actually will benefit voters versus just another road in the county. And Fix Horry Roads is a group of people across all the county that's helping to launch this initiative. You can get involved with us through our website if you want to volunteer or contact us for more information.
Yeah, there is a volunteer section under resources. It looks like you can sign up and then ask what you're interested in doing in terms of volunteer activities, whether it's door-to-door canvassing or public presentations. And that's great to know that, the public is invited to be a part of this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've worked a lot with some coastal students, so I've gotten to know them quite well. They've helped us with yard signs, with door knocking and things like that. So it's been really helpful to have those students and working with them.
It's great.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Great questions. She does ask, who are those people?
I can't list them all off the top of my head. It's a big collection of people, but you can go to our website and contact us, and I'll make sure to get back to you.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, and it's a fair enough question because what we definitely want to make sure is that there is good representation across Horry County, and so hopefully whatever is discovered as far as who's involved. If it doesn't represent a diverse pool of people who can speak to the different projects or issues around Horry County that would be eliminated or alleviated through this initiative, then hopefully, some of the wonderful people who want to get involved will be able to help spread the word and get those people involved who need to be involved, who need to be a voice at the table. So really, really good information. Thank you so much. Yeah. So once again, go ahead, Brother Edward.
Yeah, that's it. But Jada, you must be consuming a lot of information that you're going to be using later on in life. This is good experience for you. You agree? Yeah.
I think coming here and getting involved very quickly has been definitely a beneficial and learning experience for me. I'm terrible at directions. I never know which way is which. But learning all of these road names and learning where these roads would go has been very helpful for someone new to the area.
Yeah, and I know you said that you had people in Georgetown. Wait, if you're in Conway, you're in Georgetown. I mean, a lot of us our parents are from Georgetown. I'd say 50, 60, 70% of the people,
lots of connections that way.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that way. So feel at home.
Yeah, my dad grew up in Andrews, so very close to home.
Okay, all right.
Okay, then he must have.
Yeah,
Must have been familiar with the late minister at Cherry Hill Church, Reverend. I forgot his name already. Reverend at Cherry Hill, who
Reverend Coakley?
Yeah, Reverend Coakley, yeah. So, because he's from Andrews, I believe.
All right. Well, Jada, thank you so much for being with us tonight and giving us a proper education on the Ride Forward project. Yeah, I've learned more about the entire Ride program than I ever knew before. And it's, worth digging into to find out more about other Ride projects and to see, where they are in terms of the status of those projects. And I think on that website, there's actually a link if you want to find out more about, for example, I believe it was the status of any of the Ride 3 projects and things like that. So really good information. Thank you so much for sharing. And again, we just wanted to let everyone know that, again, this is a referendum on the ballot that you will see this coming November's election. Right. And now that you know a little bit more about it, you can dig into it and continue to ask questions. I'm sure if you send a message, as Jada said, she'll be more than happy to reach back and explain some things to you. And now that you know, then, it's going to be a lot easier to make your own decision about what you want to support. But to me, $6 billion, and we're asking tourists to come up with $4 billion of that, and that's going to happen pretty naturally as they come into the area. That sounds like, they're doing a lot of the hauling for us, and, then we'll do our part as natural citizens here. And but like I said, everybody can make their own decisions about how they want to vote, but at least you have the information now. So again, Jada, thank you so much. Continue to do the good work. Mary Cookie Goins says, thank you for sharing the most helpful information. And I'm sure you've heard that name before and know her well. We know her well. And we thank her for watching tonight as well. So Brother Edward, any closing remarks before we round out this show?
Guess who had the closing remark? She had the closing remark. Jada.
That's a good one. Yeah, Jada, you have the closing remarks.
Jada had the closing remarks.
I think a lot in today's time, we think, oh, why should I vote? What does this do for me? What are these politicians going to do for me? But this is definitely a reason to vote, and it's going to benefit you and the area you live in. You're going to see these projects go up. You're going to see them built if it does pass. But first, before it can pass and before they can be built, you should vote for it. And voting, I think, is incredibly important, especially in this time. So thank you all.
Mm-hmm. Brother Edward, another great reason to get out and vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter what. Show up. Go to the polls, folks.
Vote.
Yeah, vote.
We're not trying to guide everybody for who to vote for. We just want you to vote. We want to make sure.
Vote. Exercise your right. Vote. Right. Yeah. Well, we thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you to our wonderful viewers who chose to chime in. And, Jada, we always have a nice, healthy stream of comments that come in. And this broadcast will be available for the next week on WCMagazine.net. So please feel free to share it from WCMagazine.net. You can just give them that URL, and they'll see a beautiful picture right there, ready to click on it and listen to the broadcast. Yep. You can also tune in from our YouTube channel, and right here on Facebook, it will be on our pages until we have our next guest next week. So we hope to have some more good information next week. I'm not going to share right now what we're working on, but hopefully we can get into another great discussion about another item that everybody needs to focus on as we move into the election. And then we have some more great information to round out October. So Ellen and I have been pretty busy trying to make sure that we're getting ready for election season. And so we're going to do what we can to continue to inform everyone in our communities. It is time to get your minds right to vote. And things like these ballot referendums, knowing your candidates, all of those elements are highly important. And this is a critical election. And yes, we all need to vote like our lives depend on it. So, because it does.
I look at this referendum as part of grassroots. I mean, that's something critical. Okay.
Yeah.
That we need to vote on. I mean, for or
against. How do you vote? Yeah. How do you vote? Whatever you think is best. Yeah, whatever you think is best. So Thank you so much again, Jada, for being with us tonight. And we hope that the rest of you have a wonderful week.
Great.
I'm telling you, tomorrow's Wednesday already. Woo! Whatever, these days are flying by fast, I tell you.
All right.
Yeah. But anyway, take care, everyone.
Godspeed.
And we'll see you next week.
God willing.
All right.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook.